Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Get ready, because today we're going to shatter some of your core memories. Remember all those fascinating facts you learned in school? Well, it turns out some of them are completely wrong. We're diving deep into 10 common myths that are still taught in classrooms today. Let's start with a classic. Myth number 1. Christopher Columbus discovered America. We've all seen the paintings and heard the rhymes, but this is just not true. Not only were millions of indigenous people already living in the Americas for thousands of years, but Columbus wasn't even the first European to arrive. Norse explorer Leif Erikson landed in North America around the year 1000, nearly 500 years before Columbus set sail. So why does Columbus get all the credit? His voyages kicked off a huge wave of European colonization and trade, which permanently linked the two hemispheres. His impact was massive, but he was far from the first to see the so-called New World. Myth number 2. Humans have only 5 senses: sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. This idea goes all the way back to Aristotle, but modern science tells a much more complex story. We actually have many more senses. Think about your sense of balance, called equilibrioception, or your sense of temperature, called thermoreception. How about proprioception, which is your awareness of where your body parts are without looking? That's how you can touch your nose with your eyes closed. We also have a sense for pain, called nociception, and many others. So, we're way more perceptive than just 5 senses would suggest. Let's talk about art. Myth number 3. Van Gogh cut off his entire ear. This is one of history's most dramatic and misunderstood stories. The image of the tortured artist slicing off his whole ear and giving it to a woman is iconic, but it's an exaggeration. Historical evidence, including doctor's notes and witness accounts, strongly suggests that Van Gogh only cut off a part of his earlobe, not the entire thing. It was still a severe act of self-harm during a mental health crisis, but the popular version of the story blows it way out of proportion. It's a sad story, but the details matter. Myth number 4. People in the Middle Ages believed the Earth was flat. This is a surprisingly modern myth, popularized in the 19th century to make the medieval period seem more backward than it was. In reality, educated people in Europe since ancient Greece knew the Earth was a sphere. Scholars, navigators, and theologians all worked with the understanding of a round planet. The debate Columbus had wasn't about the Earth's shape, but its size. He dramatically underestimated the Earth's circumference, which is why he thought he'd reached Asia. Moving on to a civics lesson. Myth number 5. You have to wait 24 hours to report a missing person. You've seen it in countless movies and TV shows. A frantic character goes to the police, only to be told they have to wait a full day. This is a dangerous piece of fiction. There is no law in the United States, or in most countries, that requires a 24-hour waiting period. In fact, law enforcement agencies stress that the first few hours are the most critical in a missing person case. If you genuinely believe someone is missing and in danger, you should report it immediately. Don't let television convince you otherwise. Myth number 6. A penny dropped from the Empire State Building could be lethal. The story goes that a small coin, dropped from that height, would accelerate to the speed of a bullet. It sounds plausible, but it completely ignores a little thing called air resistance. A penny is flat, light, and aerodynamically terrible. As it falls, it tumbles and flutters, and the drag from the air prevents it from ever reaching a truly dangerous velocity. It would sting if it hit you, for sure, like getting flicked hard on the head, but it would be far from deadly. Physics wins this one. Here's a myth that's just a bit cheesy. Myth number 7. Mice are obsessed with cheese. We see it in every cartoon, from Tom and Jerry to Mickey Mouse. But in reality, mice are primarily seed and grain eaters. They have a very sensitive sense of smell, and the strong odor of many cheeses is actually off-putting to them. If hungry enough, they'll eat almost anything, but they'd much prefer something sweet like fruit or grains and peanut butter over a block of cheddar. This myth likely started because people used to store cheese on open shelves, making it an easy target for a hungry rodent. Time for some American history. Myth number 8. The Declaration of Independence was signed on July 4, 1776. Happy 4th of July. But that date is a little misleading. The Continental Congress officially voted for independence on July 2nd. Then, on July 4th, they approved the final wording of the Declaration of Independence. The famous, beautifully calligraphed version that we all picture was UNT signed by most of the delegates until a month later. On August 2nd. So, July 4th is the day the document was adopted, not the day everyone put their pen to it. Myth number 9. Goldfish have a 3-second memory. This one is used all the time to describe someone who's forgetful. You have the memory of a goldfish, but it does these little fish a huge disservice. Studies have shown that goldfish can actually remember things for months. They can be trained to respond to light or sound cues to get food, and they can even recognize their owners. They can navigate mazes and remember the solutions. So next time you see a goldfish swimming in circles, remember, it's not because it forgot where it was 3 seconds ago. It's probably just bored in its tiny bowl. Myth number 10. Napoleon Bonaparte was extremely short. The term Napoleon complex, used to describe shorter men who act aggressively to compensate, is named after him. But Napoleon wasn't actually that short for his time. He was about 5 feet, 6 inches tall, which was average height for a Frenchman in the early 19th century. The confusion comes from two things: British propaganda that depicted him as a tiny, comical figure, and a discrepancy between the French inch and the British inch. The French inch was slightly longer, so his French height measurement looked shorter when directly converted, without adjusting. He was an average-sized guy with a massive reputation. So why do these myths stick around? Often, it's because they make for a better story. They're simpler, more dramatic, or funnier than the complicated truth. Once they enter pop culture and get repeated in books and movies, they become accepted as fact. But it's always worth digging a little deeper and questioning what you think you know. History and science are constantly being updated with new information, and that's what makes learning so exciting. What are some other myths you learned in school? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to read them. Thanks so much for watching today. If you enjoyed this journey into debunking myths, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content that makes you think. We'll see you in the next video.